The end of time. You live your life, step by step, moment by moment, and time always seems to march on. It flows, unstoppable, and you, like everyone else, move forward within it. But what happens when time reaches its end? What does it mean to live without the progression of moments? What would it feel like if time itself just stopped? Imagine time as a long, winding thread. It stretches infinitely in one direction, never ending, always moving forward. You walk this path, step after step, and you're aware that each moment, each breath you take, is another mark on the never ending thread. But here's the twist. What if one day you reached the end of this thread? What if you walked forward until the thread unraveled and suddenly there was nothing left? No moments, no movement, no progression. The end of time doesn't mean the end of the world, not necessarily. It doesn't mean a fiery apocalypse or the quiet cessation of life. It's far more profound than that. Time, as we know it, is an endless river, flowing in one direction. But what happens when that river runs dry? When the current stops and the water becomes still, frozen in place, forever unmoving? Does it mark an end, or is it just another state of existence? An existence where nothing moves, nothing changes, and yet you would still exist. In that silence, in that stillness, you would be left alone, aware of yourself, aware of your thoughts, aware of your existence. But you would be without the motion that defined you. Without the passage of time, would you still be yourself? Would your sense of purpose, of growth, of change fade away into nothing? The end of time may seem like the end of everything, but in reality, it's a terrifying paradox. When time ends, so does the very concept of change, and yet you are still left, existing, aware of your stasis, a stillness so complete it becomes a kind of prison. What happens when time runs out? What happens when it never comes back? The clock that runs backward. You sit in a room, and before you stands an old, vintage clock. The hands tick slowly, methodically, but then something strange happens. The second hand begins to run backward. At first, you think it's a mistake, a malfunction, but it continues. The hands turn the wrong way, minute by minute, hour by hour. It's not just a mechanical flaw, it's deliberate. As the clock runs backward, you notice something strange. The world around you begins to shift, ever so subtly. The people in the room seem to age backward. The objects you've left behind, the cup of coffee you just sipped, the newspaper you were reading, seem to revert to their previous states. The coffee turns into an untouched, steaming cup, the ink on the page undisturbed. But the more you watch, the more unsettling it becomes. You realize that you're no longer experiencing the present. The clock has reversed time, not just for the clock itself, but for everything around you. You've moved into the past. But what is the past, really? Is it merely a memory? Can you relive it? Can you change it? You wonder what would happen if you could continue to move backward in time. Would you find yourself back in your childhood, in the moments before you were born, before your very consciousness took form? Would you lose your sense of self as everything unraveled into nothingness? The more you think about it, the more you realize time is not just something we live through. It's not merely a river flowing forward. It's something we are bound to. And when that river begins to flow backward, you're forced to confront the horrifying reality that the past is no longer fixed. If time can reverse, then what happens to the future? What happens to the possibility of what has not yet come? Can you change it? Or is the future as unchangeable as the past? When the clock ticks backward, it doesn't just turn the hands of time, it turns everything you believe about existence itself. The empty heart. There's a certain kind of emptiness that lingers inside you. It's not something you can touch, not something you can point to, but you know it's there. It's a hollow space within you where something should be. It's a feeling that nothing will ever be enough. Not love, not success, not anything. It's as though you're constantly reaching for something to fill this void, but everything you touch slips through your fingers, leaving you with the same aching emptiness. It's as if you are forever chasing the thing that would make you whole, but the more you chase it, the farther away it gets. People, experiences, achievements, they all seem so promising at first, but when you reach them, they don't feel as fulfilling as you imagined. In fact, they only amplify the emptiness. The moment you think you've found it, that thing that will make you feel complete, it slips away again, leaving you even more hollow than before. But then a realization dawns on you. What if this emptiness isn't something to be filled? What if the emptiness itself is the truth of who you are? What if the constant longing, the endless searching, is not an attempt to find something outside of yourself, but a way of avoiding the truth within? What if the emptiness is not a flaw, but a part of your very essence? And if that's true, what does it mean to be whole? Can you ever truly be whole? Or are you just destined to live with this emptiness forever? You begin to wonder, is this emptiness a reflection of your soul, a silent scream that you can never escape? What happens when you come face to face with the fact that there is no fullness to reach, no ultimate destination, no grand moment of completion? What happens when you realize that the very thing you've been searching for was never out there, but always inside you, a part of the void that defines your existence? The emptiness doesn't go away. It's not a hole to be filled. It's the ground upon which you stand, the foundation of your reality. The mind without memory. Imagine waking up one morning and finding that everything you've ever known is gone. Your name, your past, your identity, all erased. You don't remember where you are, who you are, or why you're here. All you have is the present moment, and it feels like you've just arrived here, as if nothing from the past has any significance. But here's the thing. Without memory, who are you? Memory is the thread that holds together the fabric of your identity. It's the reason you know who you are, the reason you can recall past experiences, relationships, and moments that have shaped you. Without memory, you are a stranger to yourself. You try to recall something, anything, but it's as if the mental pathways have been wiped clean. You are left with no past and no connection to the future. You're just here. But even that doesn't feel real. As you try to make sense of your surroundings, you realize something terrifying. Without memory, you can't understand the present. Every moment feels like it's your first. You can't form connections, can't feel emotions, because there's nothing to connect those feelings to. Your mind doesn't have a foundation upon which to build meaning. But the most chilling part? You can never truly be you without memory. You are a collection of moments, experiences, choices, and regrets. Without them, what's left? Are you just a blank slate, waiting to be filled with experiences again? Or are you nothing at all? What happens to your sense of self when you lose your past? What happens when the you that you were doesn't exist anymore? The dream that never ends. You wake up in your bed. The room is quiet, the light filtering in through the blinds. Everything seems normal. Your phone is on the nightstand. The clothes you wore yesterday are on the floor. And outside, the world hums on. But something is off. Slightly, subtly. A poster is on the wrong wall. Your phone's lock screen is in a language you don't know. You think, this must be a dream. And so, you try to wake up. And you do. You sit up in bed, heart racing. The strange world fades. You're back in reality. Or so you think, until you notice something else. The doorknob is on the wrong side of the door. The clock ticks backwards. Again, you try to wake. Again, you do. And again. And again. No matter how many times you awaken, reality is never quite right. Every time you think you're back, you find another inconsistency, a detail just slightly off. And with each awakening, you begin to doubt, not just the dream, but yourself. What if you never wake up? What if there is no real world to return to? What if your entire life has been a cascade of dreams within dreams, and the concept of reality is itself part of the illusion? The deeper you go, the harder it is to tell what's real. You begin to wonder, was the real world just another dream? And this, all of this, your eternal state? If you've never truly woken up, what does that make you? A sleeper or a dream? The observer behind the eyes. Close your eyes. Think of the you who is doing the thinking. Who is it? Where is that voice coming from? Is it your brain? Your mind? Your soul? But then, what is a mind? And who exactly is listening when thoughts occur? There's a strange feeling when you try to observe the observer. It's like standing between two mirrors, each reflecting the other infinitely. Every time you try to point at you, your finger slips past the image. You are there, but not graspable. You think, I am me. But the moment you try to define that me, it fractures into layers. There's the voice, the thoughts, the emotions, the memories, the body. But none of these are you, not entirely. You are the one watching all of them. And yet, who is that watcher? What if the self is not real? What if there is no central observer, but only layers of perception collapsing in on themselves, like a hall of mirrors with no source? You're convinced there is a you at the center, but try as you might, you never find it. And then the darker thought comes. What if the self is just the illusion that holds the system together? A trick of language, of brain chemistry, of pattern recognition. What if your life has always been lived by something that doesn't actually exist? Who is watching you think? And who is watching the watcher? The ship that became not itself. You stand before a magnificent ship, old, majestic, built from wooden planks and iron nails. Over time, the planks begin to rot, and piece by piece, they are replaced. First the hull, then the deck, then the mast. Decades pass. Not a single original part remains. And yet, it is still called the same ship. But then someone takes all the discarded parts, the old wood, the rusted bolts, and reassembles them into the original form. Now there are two ships, one made from original materials, one from replacements. So which one is the real ship? Is it the one that continued its journey through time, evolving with replacements, or the one that holds the essence of the past, but was dead and then reborn, or is neither real And the idea of the ship is just that, an idea separate from materials or continuity. Now think of yourself. Your cells regenerate constantly. Your thoughts change. Your beliefs evolve. Are you still the same person you were years ago? If every part of you changes over time, is there any continuity of self at all? What remains when everything has been replaced? And are you the same, or just the next version pretending to be? The room with no exit. You wake up in a room. There are four walls, a ceiling, and a door. You walk to the door and open it and find yourself stepping into the same room. Again, you walk to the door, open it, and again, you're back. Every door leads back to the same place. You try the window, same result. You try smashing the wall. Behind it, another copy of the room. Eventually, you realize this room is infinite, or maybe it's a loop, a perfect, seamless repetition. But here's the catch. You have memory. You remember trying the door. You remember the previous attempt. That memory proves that time is passing. You are not frozen. You are moving. So the paradox begins to form. If time passes, but space does not change, are you really moving? Or are your memories themselves an illusion? What if the room is not a place, but a state of consciousness? What if the walls are made not of bricks, but of thought itself, and the loop you're in is a thought pattern you cannot break? And then, a worse possibility, what if there is a door that leads out, but every time you reach for it, something changes your memory, resets your choice, convinces you you've tried everything? What if you've already escaped and just don't know it? The stranger in the mirror. You look in the mirror. You see your face, the familiar lines, the eyes you know so well. But stay a little longer, stare a little deeper. Eventually, things begin to feel strange. Your face distorts. The expression shifts, subtly, until it doesn't quite feel like you anymore. Your reflection is doing exactly what you're doing, but somehow you feel observed, as if something behind the glass is watching you. This is the mirror paradox. You're supposed to be the one looking, but what if you're the one being looked at? What if that reflection isn't just a physical one, but a psychological one, a version of you from another world, mimicking your movements perfectly to make you believe it's just a reflection? What if, one day, it stops mimicking? The you in the mirror smiles before you do, moves when you don't, looks alive. And if that's true, then where are you? The library of infinite books. There is a library, infinite in every direction. Each book contains a unique combination of letters and punctuation. Somewhere in this library is a book that perfectly describes your entire life. Every breath, every word you've ever said, every thought you've ever had, from birth to death. There are also books that describe slightly different versions of your life. One where you died as a child, one where you became a king, one where you never existed. Every possibility that language can capture exists here. Everything that can be written has already been written. Now here's the paradox. If all truths exist here, so do all falsehoods. For every accurate book about your life, there are billions that are completely wrong and billions more that differ by only one word. And yet, you can never tell if the one you are holding is the truth, because for every truth, there is a more compelling fiction. So, if everything is written, and you can never be certain what's real, how do you trust any knowledge at all? And if the perfect book of your life exists, does that mean your future is already written? And if it is free will dead? The box that records your soul. Imagine a small black box. It records everything you see, hear, think, and feel. Every memory, every sensation, every emotion, perfectly preserved. After you die, your consciousness is reconstructed from this data. A copy of your mind wakes up, remembers being you, feels like you, continues your thoughts. It insists, I am the real me. But you, the original you, are gone. This new being only thinks it's you. It carries your memories, but not your continuity. It is a copy, not a survivor. Now imagine you are offered this. Destroy the original you and let the perfect version continue. Nothing is lost except your now. To the world, nothing changed, but to you, everything did. So here's the paradox. If consciousness can be copied perfectly, is identity transferable? Or is your experience irreplaceable, doomed to end no matter how perfect the replica? What makes you you, the data or the moment? The simulation of simulations. You live in a world where simulations are common, perfectly immersive, indistinguishable from reality. People enter them to escape, to play, to explore. As technology advances, the simulations become so real that those inside forget they are simulated. Now imagine there are billions of these simulated lives and only one base reality. Statistically, it's far more likely that you're inside a simulation than not. Worse, if simulations can run inside simulations, the odds multiply. You might be a simulation, inside a simulation, inside another, layers deep, without knowing. And here's the mind breaker. If all thoughts are the product of code, and all feelings are inputs, then your sense of self may not be yours at all, but a construct, a puppet following a script. What if your suffering, your dreams, your memories were just background details in someone else's game? And if you found out, would you want to leave or stay asleep? The Immortal Prisoner. You are granted immortality. You cannot die, age, or be harmed. But there is a catch. You must remain in a small, windowless room, alone, forever. At first you resist. Then you accept. Days pass, weeks, years. You forget time. You forget what the sky looked like. Your memories blur. Eventually, your only companion is your own mind. Centuries go by. Then, one day, the door opens. You are free to go. But as you step out, you see the world has ended. Ruins stretch to the horizon. You are alone in an empty earth. The stars are silent. The wind no longer blows. So you go back inside. The room, though a prison, is now your sanctuary. The paradox is clear. You were freed, yet returned to confinement. Because eternity doesn't punish the body, it erodes the soul. What good is immortality when the world forgets you existed? The rewind of consciousness. You live your life normally. One day, something strange happens. Time begins to reverse, not for the world, but only for your awareness. Events play backward, but your mind experiences them in forward order. You remember things that haven't happened yet. You feel effects before causes. You fall to your knees, not knowing why, then later feel the pain that made you collapse. You cry, then learn your friend died. You scream, then hear the words that broke you. Over time, you adjust. You begin to anticipate moments before they occur, but something else happens. You stop understanding intention. People act, then justify. Emotions come, then their reasons. Cause and effect lose meaning. Eventually, your mind fractures. You no longer know what is before and what is after. The timeline crumbles, and your sense of identity dissolves with it. Is a life lived in reverse still a life? And if your memories go backward, how do you know you were ever real?